So people always ask me what's the difference between a movement, a dance movement, an exercise movement, and a gesture? I said, well, it's movement that the body inhabits because there's input, and that input it could be a verbal cue, a conversation, or a command. So when we try to trick the body into a movement that's not natural, we're going into a movement that's not a gesture. So for example, the exercise that I might give someone is to hold a dumbbell and focus really hard in lifting it, okay? And then work even harder. Now, is this a natural movement that I would do? Someone would say, well, we're strengthening the muscle, but guess what inhabits the body?
Yeah.
Put my arm down. Hello, glad to meet you. Hi, good to meet you. We just took something where strength overpowered the natural gesture. Whereas if I were to go to someone and say, how would I say this? I'd say, I'd like to shake your hand. There's the gesture. Now, what power comes from that pull is full body. It inhabits the whole body instead of a singular gesture, which in mine looks good here, but does not look natural when we go to do something. So that really what it amounts to is that I feel like I can look at a person, hear their story, and understand the script that happened. So in his example, I just saw someone 2 days ago, and they had gone through rehabilitation, they're much better, but somehow they keep waking up feeling like the rib is still out and their lower back hurting. And they've had 6 weeks of physical therapy and everything checks out, and somehow that has happened. Well, my experience is we haven't gone far enough into the history, like how did you fall? What face did you make? Oddly enough, there's a script there. And so people will laugh in the beginning, but this client came in and she had gone handle forward over her handlebars. And so what she inhabited, we could deduce by description, is that she fell with this arm forward and she was trying to keep her face from scraping, so she lifted her face and made this eye position. This hand braced, okay, and she gets up and she's all fixed, but this is internally what's going on. So come back, she's fixed. Where does she go when we try to do any movement? Or afraid to raise the arm. So the movement trauma, it's interesting because the movement trauma inhabits immediacy. So you might go to sleep, not be thinking about it, and then that pattern and that memory chip comes in. And so you wake up with the same somatic response. What you felt and sensed at that movement can return. No one can say, wipe it off your brain, it's in the tissue. So when I talk about scripts or scripts in the body, it is like a movie script. The script was written, the chapter was written, it was practiced, it was known. It can be the fall you had, it could be the overtraining of the right position to do when you're on a bike, it could be the turnout in the ballet feet. So that creates a script, albeit we need those. What can happen is our body's locked into that movement and it doesn't know any alternatives. So basically, when we break the script, we're trying to tell the body it's no longer injured, or it happened through an injury, like a fall. Flipping the switch, or the script, so to speak, means that we actually scramble the body. We scramble the message by giving it multiple input. And in somatic response, we try to give it every possible response in between the movements. So, because the average human body has 37 trillion cells, and each cell really does have a response. That's why in our younger years, we are more responsive. We have less scripts and patterns, less tissue damage, less emotional input, or sometimes that's where I say trauma plays in. So again, external health, but flipping the switch internally means that certain things have to get out of the way. If we are inflamed inside, all our cells are inflamed, we have bad gut. I mean, believe it or not, cells, gut, brain health, inside tissue health inhabits the body, and it can create a script that is stuck because the body basically becomes functionally stuck in all the systems that are trying to work. So flipping the switch is finding different ways to change the message. And now with what we call nutrigenomics, nutrition changing the expression of our genes, we can actually look at changing that sequence, which then leads to uncluttered cellular messaging and optimum movement. So we go back to movement from inside out, multiple ways and avenues.